Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're learning Mizat Hashem, Sipor Maisius. And the last time that we learned Sipor Maisius, we learned that the sun and the moon, they meet together, and they're complaining to one another. The sun is saying, listen, there's a tree that is auspicious for everything and practically everything and anything in the world. And this tree needs to be watered. And I, the sun, not only don't I water it, I shine on it and I dry it up. So the moon said, listen, you're worried about somebody else's problem. I'll tell you my own problem, my own private problem. And he said, I have there are 1,000 mountains, and then they're surrounded with another 1,000 mountains. And the seventh circle of 1,000 mountains is the domain of the demons. And the demons have rooster legs, rooster feet. And they have no koyach in their feet, in their legs. So what they do is they suck the energy, the living energy from my legs, in the levana. And because of that, I personally don't have koyach in my feet. Well, you're worried about the tree, I'm talking about me. So the sun answered, he says, this is your worry? It's not a worry. There's a place. In this place, there are few ways that are coming to the sun that are, only just 1 second, that are going out of that particular place. And there's a lot of dust over there. We call it avok. Avok is the Lashon Kodesh for dust. And one of the ways that is going is that comes out from that particular source of dust is the way of tzaddikim. In other words, there is a road of people who are insane. And he said that there's another road that leads there, that road is of people of tzaddikim that are being led in chains by feudal lords, and they go through a lot of yisurim, and they have no koyach in their legs, because they're going through tremendous hardships. And it says that in order to give them the strength that they need, so every step that they step, the Mishamayim, they put some of that dust under their feet. And he says all the tzaddikim also the same thing. Every tzaddik, the way he goes, every step that he takes, they put some of the dust of tzaddikim under his feet. And everybody who is insane, every step that he takes, there is a dust of insanity under his feet. Now, first of all, there's a very, very famous Maisa about Uman. My son just came from Uman. He was there over Shabbos. That there was a time that I think 150 years ago, something like that the father had a son who was a cripple. He couldn't walk. I think his legs were atrophied. I'm not exactly sure what it was. And So he brought his son to Uman, and Erev Rosh Hashanah, all the Hasidim went to the Tzion of Rabbeinu. And afterwards, when they all left to go to shul, he went and he swiped together all the dust that was there. And he took his son and he put him on the dust, and the son started to walk. His son started to walk. So everybody asked him, what, how did it dawn on you that this is what you should do? He was a very tmimistic person. He was a very simple man. He said, look, and he says that this is the dust of all the tzaddikim that have all these troubles. They're under the yoke of all these feudal lords, and they have no koach in their legs. So I said, where can I find, more dust of tzaddikim? And they're going through hardship to get close to Kodesh Baruch Hu. Except now I have a Shoshana with Tzion Rabbeinu. So what my son here, he was so, so poshut, so this. So Bakasha Rabbeinu gave him, his son became healthy and started working. We also mentioned that the avak is from the root of ne'evak, of struggle. And these tzaddikim that are being led in chains is each and every one of us. It talks about us. The difficulties that we have in Shara Kodesh Baruch Hu. The dust that we have is under our feet. This is the diburim of the tzaddikim that give us koyach to keep on keeping on, because it's not easy. So I want to use this opportunity to relate something that we learned on Shabbos in the Avos Shalom Shul. We learned a different story. That story is the story of the fly and the spider. And in the story, there's a king that had many wars, and he won them, and he conquered, and he took many captives. And every year afterwards, he made a ball, a celebration for that victory when he won the war. And all the ministers were there, and there were many comedies and plays, and the people there were mimicking the religions and the minhagim of all the nations of the world. And they laughed off Ishmael, and they said that the same thing. They said Mistama, Minastam, they also made fun of Am Yisrael. And that particular word of Minastam, it is, and he says, while all this is going on, the king noticed that there is a spider. There's a book, and there's a spider. On the book, there's a spider on the very edge of the pages of the book. On the other side, there's a fly, and it says a spider. Where does the spider go? It goes to the fly. And again, he was, Minastam. Where does this stam? Where does it go? Apparently, normally, this is where it goes. And there's a whole issue how the page stands up, doesn't let the spider go, and at the end, it actually crushes the spider. And we said, B'Shem of David Gvirtzman, that this particular, he probably says, that war that Rabbeinu speaks about, the Melech is a Kodesh Baruch Hu, the war is the creation of the world. And that ball that is being held once a year, that is Rosh Hashanah. And all the ministers are the princes and ministers of all the nations in the world. And they're dinim on all the nations. And every nation, the sweetening and the amelioration of the verdicts, of the harsh verdicts and constrictions, is through laughter, through simcha. Even Am Yisrael, Rosh Hashanah is a tremendous din, and Yitzchak was born in Rosh Hashanah. So it's a tzchoik asali elokim, a laughter. Hashem made a laughter for me, because the laughter is amtokas adin. That's the sweetening and amelioration of the verdicts. And behind it all, while all this is taking place, the king notices that the spider is a famous klipa of Amalek, klipas akavish, is going after the fly. And we mentioned, Rabbeinu says it, that when a Kadosh Baruch Hu gives the directive to Moshe Rabbeinu to speak to Yeshua and tell him that there's an eternal war between a Kadosh Baruch Hu and Amalek, he says, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, that's a substance, and he tells him, Ksoiv lezikoren, so zikoren b'sefer, to a memory in a book, v'sim b'oznei Yeshua, and put it in the ears of Yeshua, that Hashem has an eternal war against them all. So Rabbeinu mentions that you have Hashem talking to Moshe, and he's telling him, tell Yeshua, this is the action. Just tell Yeshua what? There's a war. Hashem has a war with Amalek, a never-ending war with Amalek. Between Hashem talking to Moshe, between the war to Amalek, Hashem has a war with Amalek. In between these technical words, it says Zikorim b'sefer, to have memory in a sefer. V'sim b'oznei Yeshua, and put it in the ears of Yeshua. This is just technicalities of what you should do. It's just like a technical, open up the microphone, turn on the lights, whatever it is. But the words Zikorim b'sefer, v'sim b'oznei, a memory in a book, and put in the ears, which are totally technical, is the acronym is Zvuv, a fly. And we spoke at great length about this particular Indian. Fly is, this flimsy thing, creation, that its sole purpose for its creation was to puncture the pomposity and pride of pompous people, because it's very difficult to hold your regal self-importance when you have a fly on your nose. And when a fly lands on your nose, there's a great quagmire. What are you going to do? What's how are you going to start chasing the fly? This is, it's not mechobadik. It's not horrible. It's where's the fly? You're making fun of yourself. But what's your option? You'll have a fly in your nose, and it's not going to move. And if you're going to move it, it's going to go zzz, and it comes right back. So instead of showing off to everybody how incredible you are, you're a person who's actually waving off a fly. It means Am Yisrael is that puncture of the self-importance of all the nations. And that is embedded in the word that Rabbeinu keeps on using on that particular Maisa, which is stam. Stam means for no reason. or just for just stam, this happens, this happens. This is the war of the moon and the demons, of the tzaddikim that are going in chains, and the spider against the fly. Because what Am Yisrael is puncturing, what Am Yisrael is putting a hole in the theory, and it's literally a thorn in the nation's eyes, is it punctures the stem. When you take a look at the whole culture of the Goyim, everything is made up, is artificial, and it's fictional. Let's say that it's important that you throw somebody a rubber ball and he hits it with a piece of wood. That's important. It goes over the fence. Wow, unbelievable. And you start telling lores and legends and keeping stats and whatever it is. The whole thing is a made up shtus. It's a stam. The purpose that it serves is that people will be able to win one another and to be able to satisfy the taiva of winning. So I have my team and you have your team, and something, we sort of like sublimated the whole union of war into a sport. That means that you live to fight another day. But the whole thing is meaningless. The whole thing is just to feel that exhilaration of, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 outs, and the pitch. Is it going to be a strikeout or a home run? You're going to win the game. That joy of hitting a home run when you're 2 outs, whatever it is, that kind of taiva, the whole thing is made just for that. It's stam. So you won. So every single value of the Goyische Welt is stam. For no reason. It's conjured. It's made up. They have theories. They have philosophies. They have the full books and whatever it is, and they analyze it to death. And there comes the flying. There comes Am Yisrael. And a Jew, by his very existence, say there is no such a thing as stam. It makes every goy feel that his own existence is meaningless. That is the source of anti-Semitism. That is the source of Milchemes Amalek. Because a Jew reminds a goy that his entire life is nothing. Stam. Can be beautiful, can be ugly, can be heroic, can be whatever you want, but it's stam. It has no meaning. Stam means meaningless. That's the war between the moon and the demons. Dafka the moon and the demons, and not the sun and the demons. Because the moon is a partial illumination. A partial illumination is you see some things and some things you don't. If you see somebody where That's the reason why the goyim go to bars. So the lighting in the bars is usually very dark, just a little bit of light. Why is that? What it does is it hides the details. So if you see somebody in the bar, and why they go to the bar? They go to drink and for niyuf, for sinning. You go to a bar and you're sitting with somebody in the bar, and when you see somebody in the bar, you don't see exactly how they look like. So you see a little details, and if you like those details, what you do is you fill in the rest of the details of how that person probably looks from your own wishful thinking. You're painting a picture in your mind. Afterwards, when you see that person in a harsh daylight, it's ugly. But in the semi-darkness, I only saw something I like, whatever it is, and I've already made a picture in my mind. That person was absolutely beautiful. The secret of the moon is the partial lighting. That's the Olam Hazeh. And the Inyan of the Levana, the moon, is that while the darkness is going on, the Levana, which is the Malchus, has a name. A name is synonymous with Malchus, is synonymous with the Levana. This is Vayas David Shem. David HaMelech, he made it a name. Name is what you call something from the outside. A person has a name. From within the person, the name doesn't matter. It only matters from the outside. Name is the thing that enables us to communicate. Every single word is a name. When you have a name that is like I, and then there's another name of Will, and then there's another name of meat, and then there's another name of you, another name of on, and another one Zoom, another one on Monday. Each one of these words is a name that denotes a specific detail. It's like a handle. The name of the object is the handle with which you can refer to the object. Without that, there'll be no communication. The name is an amazing thing. We spoke about it when we learned the exchange children. It's a wondrous thing that we can call things by name. We can communicate. On the other hand, the name, like the moon, the half lighting, is a double-edged sword. A partial lighting can make an ugly person look beautiful to you. If it was total darkness, you wouldn't see what they are. Not beautiful, not ugly, nothing. Partial lighting already, gives you a place for illusions, for imagination, for whatever. Your own tivus, your own temptations already act, and they paint the picture for you. As much as a name reveals the substance of something, the name can conceal the substance of the thing. All you need to do is just lie. The whole culture of the entire world outside of Torah is a lie. Then they go and they take a little bit of a truth and they put it in there. And the more truth you put in a lie, the more substantial the lie is, right? The more stable the lie is. We spoke about it. That's the hens of roosters. You know, that this is the sheker that has no feet. It all depends what you call it. When the Navi, when Yirmiyahu, I think it's Yirmiyahu says that, woe to those who call good bad and the bad good. You know, they're not saying there's no good. They're not saying there's not bad. They're just philosophizing about what is good and what is bad. That which is good, which is Torah, which is Musar, which is Kedusha, which is a Kodesh Baruch Hu, which is Yiddishkeit, that they call bad. And whatever it is that they feel like, and everything that they are drawn to, and all the things that will satisfy their urges and the taivas and the lusts, that they call good. And the more, quote unquote, liberal you are, the more you allow, the more you bring into the definition of good, the more perversion you bring into the definition of good, the gooder it is. Because now you're even more liberal. You're even more open-minded. Some of us have lived during the 1960s of the previous century. And the slogan of the 60s were, you know, kids, do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anybody, right? You can do anything. Because nothing means anything. The whole thing is stam. Empty. Fatuous. A fallacy. Just because. A yid punctures that by his very being. It doesn't matter if it is a frum yid. It could be a fry yid. It doesn't matter. When a goy sees a yid, he knows that everything that he holds, whatever it is, even if he has no name for it, it punctures it. Are meaningless. And it is that particular thing that in the Maisa, when the sun says to the moon, go to that place where there's all this dust, and you will have refuah to your legs. In other words, that particular way that we're going through that is difficult for us, there's tremendous energy, tremendous chiyus that holds by the people the ratzon to be close to the tzaddik. And against this kind of dust, Esav, a Rasha, cannot fight. And when the Chigur heard all this, it says in the story, he understood everything that's going on with him. He understood that the thing that drove him to first of all, the reason why he is a cripple is because this is the reason why we were put in this world. We were put in this world in order to elevate the holy sparks. And the only way that we can do it is by being led, in chains and accepting, this Yisurim and whatever goes on us and keeping on. The figure understood that our own um, invalidity is the result of the falling of the Levana. This is the demons suck the energy from the moon's legs. This is the tzaddikim that accept the yisurim on themselves as the landowners lead them in chains. He also understands at the same time that the reason that made him insist on continuing on the road when the night fell, and therefore losing the connection with the faithful secretary and the wagon driver, which were the ways to um, compensate for his own invalidity. He lost it because of it. That was because it comes from the sun. Too much seichel, too much das. He also understood the fact that the robbers came and robbed him. This comes from the Ruach Sarah. That's the wind that blows away the dust. Because the Naaman, the faithful secretary, and the horses, were the power that made him being able to move because of his weak legs. This is the dust that gives the Levana the power in its legs, that heals it. He also understood at that particular point in time, as we will see on, that the Gazlonim, the robbers, are not happenstance. Just, there's a certain place somewhere in which, the robbers, so don't go there. No. The robbers, they are the enemies of the cripples. And the all the seichrim, all the merchants that deal in this world and get chapped into this type of, I'm going to be this, and I'm going to be that, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be a trillionaire, I'm going to be a whatever it is. This is the seichrim that they're all cripples. They're all actually in chains in klipas noga. That's the klipa that has good and bad together. That the klipas noga is under the rule of the demons. Now that he heard there's a special dust by the tzaddikim that are forced by the pritzim, by the landowners, such a dust that can never ever be robbed. It can never be won over. This is the thing that the entire Yeshua of the Levana, because Yeshua Israel depends on that. This is the thing that will enable him to stand within, to stand up to all the robbers that stand up against us. This is the thing that can strengthen every single cripple, including the Levana that the demons suck from its legs. That this is the thing that's going to annihilate the power of the demons, which is the power of the stam. No reason. Just live. Just, be a good person. Just, be a good person. Be nice. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter whatever it is. Because the whole thing is stam. Stam. That's the enemy. And it has all kinds of magnets to get us into klipas noga. Klipas noga, this is the interface where the demons, the klipas, suck from us. It gets us into the business world. There's a tremendous, tremendous thing that needs to be understood about what Rabbeinu says in Torah Chav Beis, what Hashem will get to it after Torah Chav Aleph, that it is not possible to get close to the true tzaddikim except through ferocity, being fierce. but it's called Azus in Hebrew. Azus the Kedusha. On the other hand, there is such a terminology that the term is called Azus the Tuma. Azus the Sitra Acha. Fierceness, resoluteness, a determined fierceness that comes from the oilam of the Sitra Acha. And it says, and Chazal said flat out, Az ponim legehenam. Anybody who is fresh, anybody who is fierce like that, is chutzpahdik, his punishment is Gehenna. Everything else, all the other mitzvahs, all the other various la'aleinu are redeemable and exchangeable with gullus, except for Azaz the Sitra Achra. And Rabbeinu says, what's the source of Azaz? Azaz is called, the Zohar calls it Malchus without a kingdom, a royalty that has no crown. What does it mean? Rabbeinu says, Azaz comes from the fact that I want something which I don't deserve. That's it. The Azaz of the body is fighting against the Azaz of your neshama. The Azaz of the demons is fighting against the Azaz of yourself as a Jew. When you want something that you don't deserve, mitzad sheni Azaz the Kedusha is also something you don't deserve. You don't deserve to get close to Kadosh Baruch Hu, but that's Azaz the Kedusha. No, but you see this? You see this? This is how I'd like my steak to be. This thick. That's what I want. Do you deserve it? I don't care. I want it. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. Why? Because I do, because I want to. The usual explanation is that, the different ways. Some people serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and some people, that their time is, and it's true. It's true. There's a letter Rabbeinu writes his mechutin, whatever, that he says, I want you to go ahead and do business because your business is tzarech gavoya, is a heavenly need. Because the goyim that deal with you, that see how honest you are, with this you're mekadosh Shem Shamayim. Suddenly everybody wants to be mekadosh Shem Shamayim. I'll be about tzedakah. It's not that I want the money. I don't want the money. I don't care about it. I want to give tzedakah. This whole thing is just want to give tzedakah. Okay. This is the azus of the goof. This is the fierceness of the body that entraps the neshama. We'll get into it in Terech Beis at great length. All this fantastic mahalach, how the whole thing goes until you get to the tzaddikim, you get to the seal of the hands and the seals of the legs. It's just unbelievable. Our main battle is against stam. Why do you want to eat ice cream? Stam. Because I do. It's azus. Now, there's azus shemirachem of averos. There's azus that, chas v'chalilas, it's kosher, it's within the boundaries, that's how people behave. That's how we all go about our business. Yeah, you can go that way. You can go that way, but ultimately, after 120 years comes the time where a Jew we're all going to go back home. And this is what we speak in Likutei Maran, in Chav Beis, this eating of the busha, this shame. Rabbeinu says that the biggest punishment of Gehenna is the busha. What it means is that forget about the fact that chas v'chalila you did averos, that you did things against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a deeper busha. which is also Busha de Kedusha, which is in Gan Eden. In Gan Eden is also a Busha. What is the Busha? Look what you could have achieved. And you decided that you were supposed to, you were better off go to wine tasting to find out which wine is better than another. And be a maven in these things. There's nothing wrong with it. It's kosher wine or kosher whiskey or whatever. It's just, what do you want? 100%. Forget. I want to take it. I want to take it to shul. I want to give it. It's all kedusha. Okay. Loss of love, there's going to be a reckoning with. Forget about the fact that you did something wrong. Forget about that. Look what you could have achieved. And you have to understand something. Shame only comes from something that is shaykh to you, that you should have gotten and you didn't. Something that have no shaykhs to you. There's no shame. You're not ashamed that a bird can fly and you can't. You don't feel shame. But the fact that somebody else said you should have, and you should do this because it's shaykh to you. Rabbeinu says over there in Torah Chav Beis, this is only is Nasav and Ishmael. In Torah Chav he says always bring another makif inside. Go ahead, look for the other makif. Because whenever it is that you are as ponim, you are azus on one side, we said it already before, you have a bush on the other side. When you are ashamed of people to daven b'koyach and to call out and cry out and be makpid and whatever it is, when you're embarrassed to do this in public, you're being as ponim to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you're ashamed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you daven and you do whatever it is you do, with bekoyach, and people look, man, what is he making all this noise? What is this tumult? Whatever is going on? You're being as ponim to them. This is as is the kedusha. You simply have to decide who you want to be insolent. Azus is insolence. Who you want to be insolent to and who you want to be ashamed of. This is the fight of the moon with the demons. This is the fight of every single moment of our day and night, year after year. I'm all like, stam. Why do you want? Stam. I'm alone. Stam. Interject that. The Kedusha of Rabbeinu. I have no words to really put it. The Kedusha of Rabbeinu is there was no stam by Rabbeinu. Not a single moment of stam. Not a moment, not a breath of stam. That's why he's Rabbeinu. That's why he has this tremendous koyach. It's not a hocus pocus. It's not like Chas v'Chalila, the Goyim that says that particular person, was born from whatever it is, so therefore he's the one. If you're not with him, you don't have Olam Haba, all the shtuyot. Stam, it's just made up. Rabbeinu is Rabbeinu, and he is the one who can help it because there was not one single nanosecond, a single breath of stam. Stam. Pointless. No reason. Just because. No such thing. And when every single breath you're like that, you become Rabbeinu. That everybody can lean on you. Everybody can get the chayas from you. Everybody can get the koyach from you. And you can save the entire Klal Yisrael. Remember, Rabbeinu is the tzaddik emes, not because we say so, not because, I'm a Yankees fan and, the Yankees are really hot and everybody else is diddly squat. This is Rabbeinu is Rabbeinu because there was not a single breath that he breathed. He said so himself. Not a single breath that he breathed without renewal, starting all over again. That's what made him what he is and what he is. So we will let him stop here.